I should walk in singing the Throwdown song.
On this episode of...
Throwdown.
Empanadas! Chef Frank is like a papa when it comes to his food.
Look at this. It's pretty, no?
And empanadas are his pride and joy.
Delicioso.
So I'm busting into his jam session to drum up some competition.
Hey, what are you doing here? Empanadas Throw-down, baby!
But did I bring the wrong dish to this empanada party?
When you make that style, it's pastelillo.
We can go home then, because maybe I'm making the wrong dish.
My name is Bobby Flay. My mission, to find the best of the best. My objective, perfecting their signature dish. The plan of attack, I'm showing up to challenge them, but they don't know it. I may win, I might even lose. It's anybody's game. It's the ultimate throwdown.
Let's see what the next throwdown is. Empanadas. I love empanadas. Meat pies. Delicious. Frank Maldonado of Sexo in New York City.
Empanada!
Here's his claim to fame. Conga-playing chef Frank Maldonado has created flavorful empanadas that are infused with his passion for cooking and his love for his native Puerto Rico.
This is my Puerto Rican heritage.
Chef Frank's empanadas have been tasted by an impressive list of clientele, from sports stars to Supreme Court justices. One taste of these world-renowned empanadas will keep you coming back for more.
More empanadas, please.
Here's the setup. Frank thinks he's being featured on a new Food Network show called Eating Espanol, about Latin chefs making their mark in the culinary capitals of America.
You're watching Eating Espanol. Is good or no?
Very good. It's great. Empanadas, quite simply, is a pastry that's filled usually with some kind of meat. It could be vegetables, sometimes spicy, sometimes sort of like sweet and sour. And the pastry is a pastry crust.
Check the sound, the crispy empanada. Look at this. Delicioso.
Frank grew up with the rich and tasty flavors of Puerto Rico. His empanadas and his love of music are the real deal. So if you can't keep up with the beat of his congas, you just may get beat in this flavorful competition.
Only for Food Network.
Stuff or get stuffed. It's empanada time.
They say you never forget your first love. Frank Maldonado even sings a song to his. And at Sazon Restaurant in New York's Tribeca, Frank is the Pied Piper of Puerto Rican food.
Everybody! Puerto Rican food is very sexy because you eat with your hands and it's very tasty.
This flavor is so good. It's sweet, spicy, and yummy. I love it.
My cooking style is Caribbean contemporary. I combine the ingredient of the old world with the new world. This is a pilón. This is very Puerto Rican for making mofongo. Let me try. ¡Huepa! I was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, in the kitchen, literally. My mom gave birth in the kitchen when she was working the catering job.
This next line practically writes itself.
I'm always know I'd be a chef. My family owned the restaurant in Puerto Rico. It's a seafood restaurant. My summer camp was in the restaurant. It was amazing time for me.
And after starting several restaurants in his homeland, Frank took this country by storm.
In 2 years and a half, I've opened 6 restaurants in New York.
And New Yorkers clamor for his empanadas.
Hurry up, I need empanadas.
Delicious, crunchy, out of this world.
Chef Frank has this wonderful ability. He can translate what you're thinking right onto the plate. He never fails. He's perfect.
The secret of good empanada is the crunchy outside and juicy inside. Look at this. Woo! Very nice empanada. My lifestyle is very passionate. And I love the world, the food, and my people. Look at this. Enjoy! I feed people, but the music feeds my soul.
Frank is excited to feed both at an empanada party for a Food Network audience.
I like it, empanada.
But how will he feel when I sit in?
All right, let's talk empanada. Very simple, it's a meat pie. An empanada comes from the Spanish verb called empanar, which means to wrap or to coat. And in this case, we're gonna wrap it or coat it in some dough. There's a few different countries that call an empanada their own. First, let's talk about Mexico. Now, Mexico very often makes sweet empanadas, things like chocolate or guava, even some sweet potatoes or some yams. Moving on to the next country, Spain, more Mediterranean flavors, things like tomatoes, sardines, tuna, a lot of fish in the Spanish empanadas. And then, of course, Puerto Rico. Lots of time they use like some stewed chicken or some chorizo and some stewed beef. Might have raisins or some currants in there together with some kind of vinegar or some kind of citrus to kind of give it that sweet and sour flavor. But a lot of times the meats are stewed. One of the decisions we're gonna have to make is, are we gonna bake this or we're gonna fry it? I think that empanadas are probably best when they're fried, but people are really thinking about, not deep frying things as much as they used to. So maybe we'll try it baked. I'm thinking some kind of stewed beef, maybe some short ribs or something, something that has lots of flavor with a little extra fat in there, and then we'll accompany it with some sort of sauce to dip it in. I think the dough really needs to be sort of a little crusty on the outside, but at the same time, you want it to be nice and flaky. So that's the key. Getting the dough cooked and the inside cooked all the way through and making sure it has a lot of seasoning and lots of flavor.
Coming up, Chef Frank sweet talks his empanadas,
Look at this. Pretty, 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 pretty.
while Stephanie tells me what I want to hear.
Add a touch of honey.
Not to sweeten, but to balance.
Thank you.
Puerto Rico meets Nueva York.
So I'm meeting up with Miriam and Stephanie in the test kitchen to get better acquainted with some tasty empanadas.
We're gonna make a short ribs and goat cheese empanada filling, okay? And we're gonna have some pickled red onions. We're gonna make a dipping sauce with some piquillo peppers. We'll talk about that later.
Today we are making the beef empanada fry with Puerto Rican guava sauce.
We're gonna make the dough first. And it's basically like a pastry crust more than anything else, right?
It's like pie dough.
We pulse our butter into a mixture of flour, salt, and a little sugar, then drizzle in cold water with a splash of vinegar.
The vinegar is the same thing of the baking powder.
We're looking for sort of a cornmeal-like consistency. If you can do that, then you know it's good.
That is good.
The finished dough goes into the fridge to rest for 30 minutes.
Let's move on to pickled onions.
We're pickling sliced red onions and a heated mixture of red wine vinegar, lime juice, salt, and sugar.
We're just gonna throw this right on top of the onions. We're just gonna let this sit. We have the onions resting. Now we're gonna move on to the short ribs, which is actually gonna be the main ingredient for the filling of the empanada dough. Short ribs is a very fatty beef rib. We're gonna cook it very slowly, and what it does is it gets the fat to sort of break down and the tendons and all that in the meat, and so it makes it incredibly tender. Braising, the key, braising. We start our braising liquid with red wine and garlic, add short ribs we seared off earlier, then pull out a slew of chilies. Some anchos, some New Mexicos, some cascabels, and some chili de arbo, which are a little bit spicier. And then we're gonna add the currant juice, which is gonna give it some hardness. Chicken stock, almost up to the top of the short ribs.
Now, we are start to make my stuffing. I put, listen. Smell. Oh my God. Then, now, I put the sofrito. The sofrito is a mix of the sweet pepper, cilantro, culantro, and Dominican oregano. I mix all culture of the world. Then, I put my beef.
Yeah, let's cover it. 350 for about 2.5 hours.
While the beef is cooking, I start to make my guava Puerto Rican rum sauce. All Puerto Rican guy like a rum. You know what I say?
So then we're gonna make like a dipping sauce to go along with it. I'm gonna use piquillo peppers. They're like roasted red peppers, but they have like a tiny bit of a bite to them.
This is a guava. Guava is a fruit, and this is a paste of guava. I put first the Puerto Rican rum. Now, white vinegar, because I like sweet and sour sauce.
Our dipping sauce is a blend of sauteed onions, garlic, and the piquillo peppers. Add a touch of honey.
Not to sweeten, but to balance.
Thank you.
Look at this. Look at the texture. This is really, really nice for the empanada.
The short ribs basically fall right off the bone, which is awesome.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
As you can see, it's fork tender, incredibly moist.
It's amazing.
Exactly what you want.
Now, I strain her because I don't like the grease in the empanada.
1/8 inch. But if it's too thin, the filling just bursts through.
Right.
1/16" my dough.
Bigger would be fine, except it's a handheld food. But if they get too small, I feel like you don't get enough filling to dough ratio.
Correct.
It's very simple. Look at this. I crimped the edge.
Some of the short ribs, then some of the aged goat cheese, and a little bit of the pickled red onions right on top. You seal it by hand, but then you just take the fork, and it looks pretty and also connects the dough.